I am vice chair of the council. Mr. Glenn is not with us tonight, but we will proceed with the agenda that we have. Our first announcement of the evening is the appointment and reception here of our new member to our committee, Ernie Shapiro. Ernie, would you like to say a few words?
Well, I'm just glad to be a part of this committee, or this council, as it's called. And, yeah, I guess it would help if I turn it on.
Welcome aboard.
I'm a little out of practice.
That's the first order of business.
That's right. Turn on your microphone. But anyhow, thanks very much for introducing me, and I look forward to providing as much assistance with this council as I can.
Good. Thank you very much. We're glad to have you aboard. The next report is from Radnor Studio 21. George Strimmel is here this evening. George?
Hello, and I also welcome Mr. Shapiro to the group, and we look forward to working with him as we work with all of you. As you remember, in my last report, I noted that under the current contract that we have with Verizon, the current franchise agreement, that they were supposed to do quarterly inspections. And lo and behold, they did a quarterly inspection right after we had that discussion. Such an inspection uncovered a number of things that needed to be addressed. That report was made to Mr. Broadhurst, and here we go again, but nothing has been done since then. So,
George, what was the date of that report?
it was like a week after our meeting, so about 3 weeks ago. I couldn't give you a date specific. I could, referring back to my notes, but I don't have that right in front of me. It noted that they weren't major, except one of the new cameras wasn't quite working, so it was somewhat major. We did a workaround since then, but the basic underlying problem has not been addressed.
George,
That's
on
that part of the report.
Okay, I'm sure you have more to report, but on that part of the equipment review, when you said you did a workaround, I assume what you're saying is that the camera is still not functioning, but
it is not working 100%. If you drape the cable in a certain way, we can get it working again.
So what you've done is manipulated the short in the cable.
Whatever the problem is, it has not been addressed. Yes, that's right. We're used to that. We're the make-do group, and we continue to make do. What are we doing with make do? Well, it is primary election time. Nothing particularly happening directly in the township, but certainly with our representatives at both state and national levels. We've had a number of people in talking. We're always there. We have passed, as you know, a new policy that allows for people to come in and speak for a half hour. We take things, whether we produce them or we take them from our colleagues down at PCN or wherever we can get it, and try to bring people up to date as much as possible. But of course the rest of the world goes on, and we're doing our sports and discussions and a lot of the things that we do. We're up to around 60 different programs every week, which is when you come down to it, as an old broadcaster, a somewhat phenomenal number. But thanks to our interconnectivity with other public access and access operations throughout the Commonwealth, throughout the nation, and indeed throughout the world, we're able to do that. So that generally is where we are today.
George, I assume that's the end of your formal report. I want to go back one more time on the camera unless you have more to say. In order for you not to have to continue to work around that camera, is there a repair necessary, and can a repair be done?
A report was made. The Comcast hired RGB to come out and do an inspection, which they indeed did. They then made a report to which I am not privy, but it was made and sent recently, last week, RGB called me up and said, had I heard anything? And my answer was, of course, no. They are the agents of Comcast. I have no push here.
On the question that I'm seeking an answer to, the camera,
Yes,
does it need to be fixed?
yes.
Okay. Have they made any plans yet, as far as you know, to
Not
fix
to
it?
my knowledge.
Okay. When they did the report on the equipment, you never got a copy of the report?
No, neither did you, and you should have.
Neither we did. Okay. We will follow up on both of those. Okay. Thank you very much, George.
No report was made.
Anybody else have any questions? George?
I don't mean to say the same thing over and over again, but there it is. And
We're back pushing the string up the hill, right? Okay, thank you very much.
thank you very much.
We have a report from Verizon. We have a new representative from Verizon. Would you come forward, introduce yourself, and we welcome you here.
Good evening. It's nice to be in front of this council. My name's Josh Dillon. I'm the regional manager for all franchising and FiOS TV related issues for your community and for the entire state of Pennsylvania. Give you a little bit of background about myself. I'm actually been working in the franchising world for Verizon for quite some time. Actually, when we first started on this endeavor back in 2004, I was part of the original team that started franchising. I've negotiated over 200 something agreements for Verizon. I actually worked here in Pennsylvania for a few years, so I'm familiar with the territory, familiar with the contracts. More recently, I've been out on the West Coast overseeing the Western region for Verizon. Last year, they brought me back to Pennsylvania. I did the negotiations for the city of Pittsburgh, so they've slowly started bringing me back over to this area, so it's nice to be back. Going forward, I will be your contact for all issues. John Strasser and the folks before him have done a wonderful job of getting the contract up and running, making sure we've met all the early commitments that were in that contract. So the transition's been very easy. I feel like I'm in a great seat because I feel as if this contract is on cruise control right now. I'm not aware of any issues, but I'll entertain any questions you may have. I will try to make these meetings. Unfortunately, I am based out of Chicago, so
you had to fly in here today?
I did. Usually when I come out here, I try to kill like 3 birds with 1 stone. So I have multiple meetings. I'll try to probably come to these on a quarterly basis. But when I'm not here, I'll make sure to send some sort of written report that can be shared with this council.
That would be helpful.
Yes. And if there are any questions or items you need addressed immediately,
Would-
just work through me and I'll make sure that they're part of that report also.
Okay, good.
Would you be able to provide a human in your place when you're not here, besides a report?
I wish I could. Some of the folks that have been here before me have moved on, either have retired or there was other opportunities within Verizon that I couldn't let them pass up. So John, for example, is now working in the business side of the house for Verizon. As I stated, we're refocusing some of our efforts, and there's not nearly as much need to oversee these contracts as there was previously because we're so far into the term with Radnor and a lot of the other communities here in Pennsylvania. So to say that I could get someone here every month, I'd be setting false expectations.
Josh, I think our biggest concern on an ongoing basis is the question of service, question of breakdowns, repairs, maintenance. And those are the issues which concern us greatly. Now, I was out of town, but I understand that Friday, a couple of Fridays ago, April 9th, there was a FiOS breakdown. I don't know how much it affected cable, but I understand the FiOS was out from almost 4.5 hours, almost 5 hours, from 6 to 10:45. FiOS was out, telephone was out, And from the report that I received, it was fairly widespread through the whole Radnor community. That kind of situation is very uncomfortable for everybody, and uncomfortable for you, I'm sure. I don't know what your direct responsibility for that is. I'd appreciate hearing it, and then I would really like to have you go find out and report to us what happened, what was the cause of it, and then what has been done to see that it doesn't happen again.
Absolutely.
Could you do that?
Absolutely.
I'd
yes.
appreciate that.
Next meeting, I won't be here for the next meeting, but you'll have a report on that particular issue. I'll look into it.
Very good. Thank you. Any other questions? John? No?
I guess a question I have is that I would like to, I think we should take it under advisement if this sort of long-distance relationship and report works for us, because frankly, I'm a little dubious that one of the key things of our meeting is to be able to have a dialogue with both the Comcast and the Verizon representative. And it disturbs me here tonight that apparently the Comcast person isn't here. So if we come and I'm out of town a lot, as are some of the other people, and we make a real effort to be here monthly, not to have anybody here to talk to relative to our area of responsibility is a little disturbing to me. So you've basically announced it to us, and just to, I think, be on notice that there may be some pushback if this doesn't work for us.
We'll give it a shot, but.
We'll give you a week.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. I want to make sure that there is open communication with me. I'll make sure that everyone has my email address, my phone number. I want to make sure and make you all feel comfortable that you're going to get the same level of service that you've previously have gotten. Even though I'm not physically local.
You'll keep us in your heart.
I will. But
We actually might like even superior service than we had before from both vendors.
well, my main goal is obviously to make sure that we're following through on all our commitments and obviously keeping you happy.
Again, the service, and we appreciate it, Josh. And again, the issues that are paramount now are the service issues. To keep the system up, keep it running, keep the customers happy. The one thing that I think that you need to try to figure out, since you're not here physically, is that if there is a breakdown in the system and one of the township people call, that you've set up a ready response mechanism so that there's somebody here that you can call, that somebody's not waiting for you to come back from Wrigley Field or someplace else like that.
I am a diehard Cub fan.
Go for it.
No, there are those channels in place today, and I'll make sure to share those again. If the Radnor is not aware of those and not taking advantage of those, I'll make sure you have that information, because there should be no waiting around for me, or there should be no.
Have you spent some time and met Jim?
I have not had a chance.
Okay, well, Jim is in our control room. He has sort of the day-to-day responsibility. It might be wise for you to take a moment and to see Jim and make sure that he has all of the communication information that's necessary to dialogue.
Yeah. The last thing I want to.
Can I just, I'll quick add to that, don't run, Josh, that for the PEG
He's
channels,
harmless.
the public, the educational, and the government channels, Verizon has provided us with an actual program by which if we have a problem, who we go to and how we address those.
Okay,
So
so-
that has been done. That has not been done for the other absent group,
Oh.
but it has been done for Verizon.
Okay.
So
And-
we know who to go to if there's a problem. From our end, now that's the originators, it's not from the customers.
Right, and it's the customer issue that I'm also worried about. So if you could spend a few minutes before you head on out and make sure that Jim is fully briefed as to where to go, I think we'd be all in good shape.
All right, I'm sorry, one thought did occur to me while we were having this discussion. I saw press reports today, and also suspect as a Verizon customer, there may have been a problem with email today. The press report I saw was in the Philadelphia Inquirer early this afternoon, and I had sent a few emails out, and they had not been responded to, not, I hope, because the people that I sent the emails to don't like me, but because they may not have gotten where they were headed. Do you know anything about that and whether that's been remedied?
This is the first I've heard of it. I can look into it and give you some sort of response. I wasn't aware of it.
Unfortunately, the way services are bundled today, while internet does not come under any of our mandate, thanks to the Federal Communications Commission several years back. But the way everything is bundled, it's sometimes hard to split off what's going, particularly when you mark it as a bundle. So it makes it a little difficult when we're thinking about and working on the idea that one of our primary responsibilities is service. So you're going to get these questions whether or not they squarely fit the round hole that you have until you provide us somebody else directly to talk to. So if there's somebody that we should know directly, that we can lift up the question of phone or internet. You're going to be the point man.
Wouldn't be the first time that I've gotten these types of questions.
Okay.
So, okay.
Thank you very.
One more, just sort of off the wall question. I didn't know if it was from the broadcasters or from Verizon, but with this new 3D television, if there's going to be broadcasts through Verizon of 3D broadcasts and what the timeline looks like.
I'm not privy to a lot of those types of, Verizon's constantly looking to see what we can do next. I'm sure once we get to that point, we will announce it. I don't know what our plans are. I myself am curious to see what's going on. I've heard others, some of the TV, who make the TVs themselves, talking about the TVs that are 3D ready. So I think we're in the early stages of that product itself. I'm sure Verizon is looking into it, but when they're ready to make an announcement and share it with everyone else, I'll make sure you guys get copies of that communication that goes out to everyone.
Yeah, I'm just asking as a consumer. I just got a telephone call this afternoon that I want a complete Panasonic 3D television system.
As a consumer, I'm just as interested.
And I thought, whoa, now what do I do? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Josh, and thank you for taking the time to come in from Chicago, and good luck to the Cubs, except when they come to Philadelphia.
Yep, thank you.
Did you want to make your announcements at this point?
Yes, sir. Good evening, gentlemen. From the township's perspective of things here, I have two updates for you. On the clear communications that I reported last month, they were attempting to go up on the township's tower here next to the building. We're still going back and forth as to their location on the tower. We thought we had it nailed down, but their engineers came back and said they needed to go higher, and we may have to move an antenna to get them where they need to go. So that's still going back and forth. Hasn't been officially approached to this committee yet, but once we get the logistics nailed down, I'll walk them through the process of approaching the committee and going on from there. Also, with regards to Extenet, they had applied a while back, and a company in North Carolina had put the request in. I tried to contact them back. They never got back to me, but I just recently got a communication from a local firm who's doing their consulting for them in Havertown. They are requesting initial contact with the township to look into the installation of a DAS system. It's a distributed antenna system for telecommunications throughout the township. Matt Bauman is meeting with them with regards to permits and fees first, and at that point, when they're ready to make an official application, they'll contact me and they'll approach the committee at one of the meetings. So I don't have anything official from them yet, but they do show interest now in installing this system in the township. But I'll get back to you as soon as I have further information. Okay? That's it.
Thank you very much. John, do you want to give us an update on the new communications ordinance as it applies to the wireless?
Sure. This will be brief, given that there is little update from last month's report. We are advised that the amendments that we had submitted are teed up for final preparation and presentation to the Board of Commissioners, but the timing on that has not yet been finalized. So we are where we were last month, which is awaiting indication that the amendments are going before the board, and presumably at that point, someone from this group will attend that meeting and hopefully babysit the process as opposed to make a presentation. But that's where that stands. We've heard nothing in terms of additional work that this group would need to do with respect to those amendments. It's simply a timing and getting on the getting in the queue issue.
And the substance of that has been run through our outside counsel, through the Township Council, through the Planning Commission. So it's pretty much gone through all the wickets, up to now to go to the Board of Commissioners.
That's right. The final work was Solicitor Rice's work of putting what we had put together in final ordinance form for consideration by the Board of Commissioners.
Good, thank you, John. And thank you for all your work on it. It's been a massive job. Neither Tom Glenn nor Bruce Wilson are here tonight, but last month, beginning of this month, we had a meeting with Comcast with regard to the renewal of their franchise agreement. We have exchanged a lot of ideas and exchanged some drafts of documents. That's moving forward at this point. We expect that we will be able to reach an agreement with them, but we're not close to finalizing any final agreement. There's still one or two business points that have to be ironed out. The language itself should be pretty easy once those are done. I see an item of new business. We were asked to note the application of AT&T Mobile or Mobility, that they wanted to make us aware that they would be submitting an application. We are aware they have not submitted it. When it gets here, we will do something with it. No public participation tonight. Does anyone on the committee have any thoughts, questions, or suggestions for a better life for any of us? Hearing none.
For suggestions.
Hearing none, we will adjourn the meeting, and thank you very much for everyone participating.